Okay, hello everybody. Okay, so I thought I'd better record just one video, just going right the way all the way back to basics because I posted a couple of shorts on there and given a couple of comments about not really being able to follow some of the stuff. So this video is basically right. This is spreadsheets like 101. Right from the very beginning, because the whole point of this page, the reason I put it together is because I wanted to be like, I wanted to be for everybody, absolutely everybody. Very much like a fart in a lift. It's there for everybody. If you're lucky, it might even be a flavor that you like. So let's have a look. Let's see what we can get. So the reason I'm using Google Sheets, which is what I've got in front of me, is because it's free. All you need is a Google account. And you can use Google Sheets. And Google Sheets is like Microsoft Excel, which is probably the more famous version of a spreadsheet tool. But if you want to use Microsoft Excel for free, you need a Microsoft account. You need to only use the online version, which is quite limited. And if you want to do some other stuff, then you have to pay for a license. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've got Excel. I've purchased. I use it every day. But it's an absolutely fantastic tool. But the whole point of this series was to try and make some of these skills available for everyone. So this is why I'm using Google Sheets. I will no doubt do some videos later on down the line in Excel showing some of the stuff that Excel can do that Google Sheets can't. But as far as the basics and the fundamentals of spreadsheets and data and calculations and stuff like that goes, this is a fantastic tool, especially one for free. So what you can see is that I've got in here, I've got my fuel purchase, the sheets that I've been using for the shorts. If you haven't looked at them, go and look at my Facebook page or my Instagram page. You will see them in there. Of course, just to make sure that I'm covering all bases, you will find links to all of my videos on datawithduke.com. Make sure you go and visit it there. You can also fill in a quick form and get hold of me. It'll ping an email over to me if you've got any questions. Right, so let me crack on. You log into Google Sheets, you log into your Google account and you say that you want to go to Sheets, which you'll find in the little waffle button. It's just here. And it'll ask you, do you want to open a blank spreadsheet or do you want to have a look at one of these templates that they've got? Now, I'll do a separate video on some of the templates because some of them are actually really quite useful and they sort of like build a lot of the stuff for you. But if you don't really know what you're doing in the spreadsheet in the first place, then maybe this will be a little bit too far. So I'm literally just for now, I'm going to open up a blank spreadsheet and make sure that we're really comfortable about the different things that you can do. So we've got a tables thing that appears. Tables is quite new to Google Sheets. I say quite new. It's been around, I think, probably for about a year now. But they're still trying to get people to use it. People are literally not sort of picking it up. Now, tables are actually really useful when it comes to handling data. So again, I will do another video on this. But now we're literally right back to basics. So this is what we call a sheet. This is a spreadsheet. And a single spreadsheet will form part of a workbook, or in the case of Google Sheets, it's just a sheet. But we have a single spreadsheet. It says down the bottom, sheet 1. We can add in another one if we want to, sheet 2, and we can keep going and have as many different sheets as we can. And as you can see, would have seen from my shorts, is that these different sheets can talk to each other, all within the same workbook. And in fact, you can actually arrange it that different workbooks can also talk to each other as well. But for now, we'll just stick with a single sheet. We'll call it sheet 1. In fact, let's call it test. Let's do that. Just double click on the name down at the bottom, and you can call it something like descriptive, something that you've got. But let's go through the fundamentals. So a spreadsheet is made up of columns, which is what each of these are, which are usually lettered. You can change them to numbers, I think, I believe. Which is traditionally how it used to be in spreadsheets. But just to try and differentiate, when you're looking at the different addresses, I'll come to that in a second, you've got columns. So A, B, C, all the way through to the alphabet. I know we said we're going to be fundamentals, but I'm not going to teach you the alphabet. I think you're pretty good with that. Then we got the rows down the left-hand side. Start from row number 1 all the way down to, well, potentially millions, depending on the size that you need. But each one of these little boxes that you have here is known as a cell, and it can be denoted by a specific address. you have a look over the left-hand side, you'll see that as I click on a different cell, the address box changes. So if I go to D7, it tells me D7 top there. If I go to A1, it tells me A1 in the top. If I was to select the entire column of A, it gives me that A:A to say that I'm selecting the whole column. And if I could do the same for row 1, it goes 1:1, and I'm selecting the entire row. So that's basically the structure of every single spreadsheet. At the top here, we've got some pretty useful buttons, and these are going to be the most common functions that you will use within your spreadsheet tool. Some of them are to do with making the formatting look good, or the size of what you're looking at. Some of them are to do with the data types. I'm going to do another video about data types later, but data types are really, really important when you're working with data. Not so much with spreadsheets. And again, there's probably videos coming where I'll talk a bit about that. But it allows you to format your entry according to one of these. So if I was going to put a value in here, like 1.23, just hit enter there, and it's detected that it's a number straight away. I could change it into a currency using the currency button. I could change it into a percentage if I want to. I can remove or add decimal places, or just change it to a different kind of number if I wish, like date or something like that. So that's the data types. The other buttons that we've got up here are to do with some nice styles. We've got some pretty funky built-in fonts if you wanted to have a play about with those. But then we've got size, bold, italics, like the same sort of thing you'd see on a word processor. You can even go as far as changing the colors of your cells to something. Oh, that's a horrible green. That's like puke. We don't like that. Let's put it maybe. That's not actually much better. I'm going to reset that back to white for now. Or we can stick borders around it if you want to. You can have a choice. If I pick a few of these boxes, and I'll say I want to put a big thick border around it. That also. So lots of buttons for functioning. My encouragement to you would actually just to go and have a bit of a play about with it and see what you can find. There's lots of these different buttons that do lots of different things depending on what you're doing, if you're entering text or numbers or final thing to penultimate thing to talk about is we have this little button down the bottom. This little, what we call the burger, because it's got 3 lines. This is an easy way to flick in between the different sheets that you've got. So if I wanted to change this to another test and testy, that didn't work, did it? Testy test face. I can call that there. By clicking on the little burger, I can literally just jump in between the different sheets that I have there. If you want to delete a sheet, you can right-click it. Or hold it down if you're on the mobile version. I do a lot of mobile videos because you can do most of this stuff on a mobile. So right click or hold it down on the mobile version if you wanted to delete a sheet. So, but anyway, I'm going to stick with test. So what spreadsheets are for is to be able to do calculations. So there's lots of different ways you can actually do it. So I'm going to use a function at the moment just to put some random figures in here at the moment. That number, there we go. Just going to put some random numbers in there, and then I'm going to copy and paste just values so that I've no longer got formulas. So that function basically just produces a random number between 0 and 1. So if I wanted to calculate like maybe the sum on these, there's a couple of different ways I can do it. There's a button over here that allows you to access the functions, and you can choose to do sum, and it just fills it in there. Okay, here's my sum function. What do we want to sum up? And you can just drag it down and say I want to sum up all of these cells, and there we go, you got it there. Or you can actually just hit it up in the formula bar here. So the cell in which you want to put the calculation, you can just hit the equals button, and it will automatically start trying to populate a function for you. I'm going to go average this time, and it's pretty clever. It sort of suggests, oh look, you've got a load of figures above you. Do you want to create an average on that? So that's a wonderful one. The range that it enters here is from A1 down to A14. So there we go. There's A1 and there's A. So the colon in between basically indicates it's a range of figures, a continuous range of figures between A1 and A. There are tons of functions available, absolutely tons of functions available that start from the basic like sum, count, average, maximum, minimum. But if you have a look just down there's menus upon menus upon menus of different functions available. So we're not going to go into all of these. I literally just want you to have a bit of a click around, bit of a play around, see if you can figure out what some of them do. Some of them will be fairly straightforward, like different kinds of averages, or you may have come across weighted averages before. But some of them will be a little bit more complex, such as chi-squared and in here some confidence values or correlation values. Pearson's coefficient, for example. Now, I might very well do a little bit of statistics work, but that's not really what we're interested in right now. Having a bit of a play about with the spreadsheet. So let me just recap what we've done. We have columns starting from A and going down the alphabet. We have rows starting from 1 and going down as far as you need it. We have lots of buttons at the top. You can change the appearance of your values, your text, and then we have functions that we can either do through using an automatic function button, or we can just punch it in by hitting the equals button. So that's all that we're going to do for now. So more videos coming, but that's sort of like the basics, introduction, very fundamental introduction into Google Sheets. So if you haven't got a Google account, get yourself a Google account, have a look in that little waffle, open yourself up a spreadsheet, call it something funky, you know what you're going to do with it, and start having to click around and see what you can. Been Duke, in out.